Hello, dear friends. I have translated and summarized a very interesting interview of the famous popularizer Don Carlos de Marbella that reveals many details about the new financial system. Opinion piece: risks of digital currency, loss of credibility, no gold backing, QFS would be the alternative, advantages of the quantum system. This technology is not terrestrial. It captures the intention of the heart. There will be a physical money backed. Everyone would have a quantum phone. The goal is to give power back to the people. Quantum consciousness will change the world. The next 5 to 10 years will be educational. Let's start. Some 100 central banks are already exploring the launch of their central bank digital currency, CBDC, a new form of bank-backed fiat money synthesized in a digital format available to everyone. The IMF has released a new paper analyzing CBDCs and their potential impact on society. The report analyzes the most advanced projects in this field, including the digital yuan, the Bahamian sand dollar, which is already a reality, and the Swedish e-krona. These projects are in an almost embryonic process. Although many central banks are considering issuing their own digital currencies to the general public, only a few have issued or tested them. These moves are evidence that the history of money is entering a new chapter. Reports Vicente Nieves. Excuse me. Definition: a central bank digital currency, also called digital fiat currency or digital base money, is a digital currency issued by a central bank rather than a commercial bank. It is also a liability of the central bank and is denominated in the sovereign country, as is the case with physical banknotes and coins. A central bank digital currency, CBDC, is that digital fiat money issued by a central bank and therefore would only be legally valid in that country according to Enrique Rusarias. It is therefore a currency similar to other physical currencies, such as the dollar, the Mexican peso, or the euro. In this case, the difference with them is that it is a virtual currency more similar to cryptocurrencies. In fact, it was created to compete with them. It is important not to confuse a current account entry with this type of money. For example, I can make a transfer in euros online, but this does not make it a digital currency. In fact, traditional cash has banknotes and coins, and the other does not. Examples of digital currencies are Europe's Eurochain, the US Fed coin, China's DCB, and Venezuela's Petro. The European Central Bank's Eurochain virtual currency project emerged in 2019 and would have controlled privacy. The Federal Reserve launched the Fed coin in 2024, and one of its big obstacles is the country's legislation, which should be changed. China's government launched its DCB digital currency backed by the People's Bank of China and corporations such as Alipay or WeChat. The Venezuelan government launched the Petro digital currency, and it is the one that has generated the most controversy. Drawbacks: as it is a legal tender, it is audited by the central bank that issues it, and this has an impact on the lack of privacy. Lack of universality: as with fiat money in different countries, other countries may not accept this virtual currency. As they are digital, they could be manipulated by hackers. They are not risk-free. Existing legislation is not as clear and detailed as it is with traditional currency, where everything is measured. Dissidents and activists could see their wallets emptied or disconnected. Digital currency would become an extension of the surveillance state and could fine citizens in a split second for prohibited behavior. Digital currency is also programmable. The government could hand out money that expires within a certain period of time, or money that could only be used on certain pieces in order to induce programmed consumption. Forcing consumer behavior. Digital currencies can also be tailored to specific purposes. For example, in a Chinese pilot program, money has an expiry date of a few weeks to drive consumption. Stagnation of social evolution. They could lead to loss of financial privacy. This could encourage self-censorship, deterioration of freedom of expression and association, and ultimately stagnate social development. Charlie Ward speaks. The QFS, according to Charlie Ward by Raquel Rightside Blonde. As I moved money around the world, says Charlie, I suddenly realized that there were two financial systems and two restarts in play. The global monetary restart through the QFS quantum financial system, and a global financial restart that I thought was the only one available. I later found out, while doing my research, that there is another one called the Great Reset that doesn't use the QFS but the central banking digital currency. I later found out that one is evil and the other is good. Charlie adds that we just saw in Brazil what happens to citizens' central banking digital currency when governments are in control. 2.5 to 3.5 million people who rise up against the election result have their bank account frozen for protesting. We have also learned what the intention is with digital core banking currency. If another virus came out, the government could not only close your bank account but also prevent you from leaving your home by blocking your debit or credit card, so you couldn't travel anywhere. This is exactly what is happening in China, and it is happening now in Brazil. It has happened in multiple places around the world. We see a lot of this, and this is all about social credit scoring to enslave the world. The central banking digital currency that the Great Reset planned is controlled by banks and governments. The government can see everything you spend, and they can decide if you spend too much or too little. If you are filling up with petrol, they may allot you a maximum of $15 if they think you are spending too much. The compliance of the central banking digital currency is clandestine artificial intelligence and is controlled by the government, better underground than clandestine, and is controlled by the government because the government puts the algorithms in place to limit you. Positive alternative. In contrast, the quantum financial system QFS is about quantum technology and quantum consciousness. This is something that blows people's minds, especially those who are attached to a three-dimensional mindset. But the conformity of the QFS is off the planet. This is very difficult for people to understand, and it took me a long time to understand it, says Charlie Ward. But the QFS understands the intent of your heart more than your mouth. There are people who talk a lot right now, but they are unable to walk the path. This is a journey to truth. QFS means that we will have a smartphone like the iPhone called a quantum phone, and our bank account will be in our phone. In the end, we won't really need a bank account. We will need what is known as traditional banking for the next 5 or 10 years until we have fully moved through the transition period. Just like the money you will have in your quantum phone, there will be physical money known as rainbow money, backed by gold, just like the money in your phone. The other system, called central bank digital currency, is not backed by gold and is completely controlled by the government. In the coming months, people will be given a choice to keep the green dollar to the USDN dollar, which will give money backed by solid assets. There will be people who will decide to stick to the old green dollar and remain enslaved by the system. We will live in a parallel universe with people who will be left behind and people who will move forward. That is a personal decision strictly. So, if I want to send money in pounds sterling or Spanish pesetas, a 1 peseta voucher will be worth the same as $1 voucher, and it will be transferable by phone in a second, but it will arrive in each country's own currency, because it will be a one-to-one exchange worldwide. That is currency revaluation. Each country will revaluate everything within their country. Houses, infrastructure, food, everything will be revalued. There is a project in place as a guideline, but everything will be revalued. The QFS will allow you to pay for anything from your phone. You will have rainbow money in notes and coins backed by gold. This is already happening in the BRICS countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Zimbabwe also went gold-backed the other day, and it was a slap in the face of President Biden because he has lost control of the dollar. Half the world has moved away from the fiat dollar right now because it has lost financial credibility. The main idea of the QFS is to give power back to the people and take it away from the banks and the government. If you are involved in nefarious business or illicit trafficking, then you will not be able to run your business through the QFS because it is controlled by quantum technology through Starlink satellites. Quantum consciousness leads to a different level. The next 5 to 10 years will be educational. The mainstream media will disappear and there will be new channels of information because the old system will be dismantled. The old television system will be dismantled because it is unreliable, concludes Charlie Watt. Reset News. According to Juan Osabi, there are now game-changing dramas unfolding, exposing the bribery of various individuals, agencies, and cartels. It is going to be epic. X22 report. As the world economy collapses, people are rising up against the central banking. Europe is struggling with inflation, and everyday products that people use are getting more expensive. Biden's administrator admits that closing the Keystone XL pipeline hurt the economy. The dark side has lost control. The information war is about to go to the next level. The information the patriots are going to spread will drive the propaganda. Fake news will not be able to keep up. They will not be able to spin the information. Truth and facts will trump propaganda. It is time to save the world. China's move to buy oil with yuan is shaping a new world energy order. Lithium has become the new gold rush in Zimbabwe, where people are digging up lithium and selling the ore for $10 a wheelbarrow load. Incidents. Bolsonarists invade Brazil's 3 branches of government. They invaded Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidential palace in Brasilia. In addition, there were clashes between demonstrators and the police, who tried to disperse the crowd with tear gas. Lula orders federal intervention in Brasilia after riots. Bolsonaro condemns violent riots in Brasilia and denies responsibility. Media blackout over incident at Las Vegas power plant. Magnitude 7 quake hits Western Pacific in Dutch Vanuatu. Western Turkey has been hit by a series of earthquakes lately. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.